Welcome to the I CVille Show, guys. Jerry Miller, happy Friday to you. It's great to be with you across Charlottesville and Central Virginia on the I CVille Network. We got a fantastic program in line for you guys. Live music on a Friday. I think we're going to make this a mainstay on the I CVille Network. And I'm so excited to debut Friday live music with Lora Kelley, Michael Clem, and Eric Heinsohn on set. They are going to make us look good, but doing what they do really well, and it's playing the best live music across the Commonwealth of Virginia. So excited to introduce you guys to them. I asked you to like and share the feed. If you could do that, that would mean the world to me. 4 people go a lot of hours to put this show on from a daily basis, and all we ask is a thumb like and a share of the stream, guys. Let's thank the sponsors that make this program possible. First, Sean and Roxanne Simmons of Greenberry's Coffee. I don't know if you knew this, but 28 years ago, a husband and wife, they had a dream to create a craft coffee company. And that craft coffee company was Greenberry's Coffee. They started with a beat-up Honda Civic, a small shop at Barracks Road Shopping Center, and a roasting facility in the McIntyre Office Park. 28 years later, they're in Qatar, Japan, Saudi Arabia, soon to open in Portland, Washington, D.C., Harrisonburg, and it started here in CVille. It's the kind of stories that get me jacked because they epitomize and embody the best of Charlottesville, Virginia. Greenberries, we salute you here on the I CVille Show. We give some big-time love as well to Scott Wagner of Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. Both Dr. Wagner and Greenberries were their advertising agency of record. Scott Wagner, who's got your back? He most certainly does. He is absolutely, guys, changing people's lives at his facility, guys, the old Quinn Farmer Auction House. Thank you, Dr. Wagner, and your team for being a part of this program. Before we get to our stars, the guests here on the show, I want to thank the folks that make the program possible, the fellows on our team, our director, Harris Tolber, our producer, Judah Wickhauer, producer upstairs, Lauren Linsky, that are absolutely making this program possible. I'm the dreamer. These guys help make the dreams a reality by bringing some practicality into my life, which, if you know me, I need a sense of practicality, baby. Let's go to the studio cam and let's welcome Lora Kelley, Michael Clem, and Eric Heinsohn to the show. Guys, thank you kindly for joining us. We're truly, truly grateful. I'm going to start with you, Lora, and I can't wait to hear this voice and what you have to say. We'll have you slide a little closer to this mic here. A lot of people already on the stream here. We're looking at a little over 300, which is exciting.
Hey, guys.
Let me throw this to you here.
Okay,
Talk to us about the inspiration behind launching a musician, a career in music. In live music. You are so talented, but give us the birth story. How do we get to this point for Lora Kelley, the musician?
Yeah, I think I've loved to sing and I've loved to write since I was young, and it took me a while to get to this place. I was a hair and makeup artist for 10 years before, well, really longer than that, before I switched to music, and it just kept hounding me that this was something I wanted to do. And so I took the plunge probably 2 years ago and have really been hitting it strong ever since. Yeah.
How about aha moment? Did you have a moment where you're like, oh my God, I am really good at this. People are responding to my music. This is something that I think I need to pursue even harder. I think all entrepreneurs have this aha moment. Do musicians?
I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for all musicians. I can speak for myself as an artist that I don't know if you ever get to a place where you're like, I'm really good at this and that's why I do it. It's more that I feel called to it. And even on the days where I don't feel like I'm great at it, becomes less about that and more about the art that you're creating.
Sure, and I God-fearing man right here. I've been blessed with some skills like human connection, charisma, confidence, the ability to connect with folks. I feel the need to share those. Mm-hmm. Part of the reason that we're doing this show here, the other part of the reason is we saw August 12th firsthand outside the Macklin building, and we saw evil and sin that I'd never seen before, and I wanted to do my small part to help change the conversation here in Charlottesville, to help rebrand the city by featuring folks like Michael, like Eric, and like Lora on the show so we could tell their stories. I got to ask you that. A12, and I'm going to throw it to you guys as well, fellas, here after Laura's answer. A12, certainly one of those moments in the history of Charlottesville that I think we will never forget. Talk to me about your open-ended question. A12 for you, what it meant pre and post from your standpoint.
Gosh, that's a heavy, very large question.
Yeah.
I think, everyone was both shocked and not at the same time. There's a strange juxtaposition of things that I think people have known to be existing in our culture and in our society came full front, and I don't think anyone thought Charlottesville would be the sort of nucleus for that explosion. It's brought conversations we were already having, but has just intensified them, and I think in a really good, it's tragic that that's what's brought it forward, but a really good way. Things about our city that need to change, people in our community that have been overlooked and shoved off to the side, harm that's been done. And so I think it's now hopefully giving us an opportunity to rectify some of these things, to make amends with, people in our community that have been harmed. So
I thought that was a great answer right there. Yeah. That was a muddy answer. Patricia or Patria Rector says props to you on that. Dick Kelly giving you some props as well. Let's get Michael Clem in the mix. And you're a staple. I've seen you play many times. Very talented musician. Certainly someone who, like us, bleeds Charlottesville. Talk to us a little bit about 812, the magnitude, the significance for you from a personal standpoint.
How much time do you have?
As much as you want. There are no commercial breaks on this show, baby.
Well, we love little containing things to little sound bites. We say 8/12, and there's 9/11, but there was also 7/8, which was the month before that, and it was the KKK with their own isolated rally. I was doing a Woody Guthrie musical on the other side of town at the Heritage, and it seemed very fitting to be celebrating a man who was about peace and so forth, and across town was this KKK rally. KKK rallies aren't new. They've been around for the last century, and by and large have been pretty much ignored, and it seems to be the best way to treat those guys, because what they want is attention. And they got attention that day. It went really bad. It went foobar, and the police had their hands filled. And then lo and behold, it gave momentum for the Kesslers to go, well, let's try this again a month from now and get some more players in the mix. And I had absolutely no interest of being a rubbernecker on that occasion. I tried to dissuade friends from doing the same. You can go and represent. There's a lot of different takes on this. Just my personal feeling is, why give these guys the attention that they want? Boy, did they get attention. And of course, our CEO of this country got a lot of flack for talking about two sides, both sides. Man, there was more than one side on that particular day. There was the white supremacists, there was the KKK, the guys that marched right down the street here. And waiting them on the other side was not just another side of here's the people opposing them. There was Antifa, there was clergy, there was a militia group that was there to not necessarily represent one side or the other, but to protect the constitutional rights of everyone involved. And there was this really quiet group, these benevolent people that came down who were EMTs, and their story is incredible. And it gave the front porch has a piece of a chapter in this story too, where they made their space available as a triage. They just knew that there was going to be something, not that there would be a car accident killing Heather Heyer, but something was going to go bad. And they had the sense to come down and volunteer their services. And the front porch said, we'll be happy to make our space available to you, because they were dark on that particular day, as was everybody else. Lo and behold, how would anyone know that one block away from the front porch that would happen, where a triage would be needed? And so, again, all these different players in there with different agendas and different things that they wanted to say. And it was a mess. And everyone wants to lay blame at someone's doormat, but how did that thing ever come to be that they allowed for it to happen in this city with no infrastructure to handle such an event like that? What about the federal case that gave Kessler the green light to do this at the 11th hour?
Right, and not so much. I bring this up not so much from a politics standpoint. I bring it up more from how it's motivated us and how it's motivated this business, being social entrepreneurs, to help change the conversation and to help spotlight the best of Charlottesville, Virginia. I want to get you in the mix here, and then we'll kind of get the spotlight on you, Lora, with some of your live music. I just see it as such a such a turning point and such a crossroads in our history, where whether we have truly understood the magnitude of what happened yet, being so close, just 18 months away, or whether that magnitude will still set in as we mature past this event, I think that's probably going to be the case. Eric, what are your thoughts on some of this?
Thank you, Jerry. It's hard to add to what they've already said, except there's a million things you could say, right? Mm-hmm. I think that it's really important in our country that we have the right to free speech. But I do agree that this was a situation where we were not prepared, and no one knew that it was going to get to where it was going to be. And I think that you just don't solve anything with violence. You just don't. And you can allow someone to speak, and the person can speak back, but as soon as it becomes violent, you've just gone into a realm where nothing positive is going to happen. So, and not just positive, some really bad, terrible things happen. We know that. So I think the response for us is to speak the right way, and just to not be silent, to speak to everyone you encounter, to be willing to have uncomfortable conversations, and to be willing to listen. And I think the conversation is as much listening as anything else. People just aren't listening. And while we do want to have free speech and we do want to have that right to speak, I think we really need to be willing to hear people who have hard things to say, and then maybe something positive can come of it. I think
that was so well said right there. So well said right there. Sarah Hill Buchinski's
He gets the gold. He gets the gold
That
star.
was so well said. Sarah Hill Buchinski's giving you guys some props on your answers right now. Thank you, Sarah Hill. If you guys could like and share the stream, that would mean the world to us. I want to bring Lora into the mix, and props, fellas. Some of your inspirations, some of the musicians and the artists that you may model what you do after or you look up to. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up, the first concert I ever went to was a 10,000 Maniacs concert. Natalie Merchant was the main singer for that, and I was probably 7 or 8 years old. So I think her truthfulness and the way she couches it in music that inspires people and gives people a different perspective on the world. I love music like that. So I think some of the current people I'm following right now, Margot Price, she's awesome. Brandi Carlile, who just won 3 Grammys. And I've gotten back into like Joan Baez and, oh gosh, I was listening to someone else. Oh, Lori McKenna. So I have a slew of women artists that I am just, really steeped in their music right now and love how they tell the truth, I think.
Very cool. John Updike says Michael Clem is a mighty fine musician and a mighty fine human being. Thank you, John Updike, for joining us on the show. How about this question for you? As entrepreneurs and as business owners, we know that 80% of small businesses fail in their first 3 years. So I think a lot of times when I'm interviewing folks that started a business, I ask them, how did you manage the fear of starting the business in the first place? And so many times I sit across from folks as the owner of an advertising agency, and they're like, Jerry, I have this idea for a business, but I'm so scared to update my Facebook status and my job employment on my Facebook page, because then everybody will know that I'm starting this business, and what happens if it didn't work out? So the fear keeps them from jumping into the arena or jumping into the stage. My question for you is, taking that perspective from what I see firsthand, running a business and the folks I talk to, how did you manage the fear of jumping on stage for the first time, of being a musician? When you're playing originals like you're doing, you are showcasing a level of vulnerability that I think is so rare in life. It's like this level of vulnerability where you're just exposing your heart and your soul and your feelings and the good and the bad and the ugly. That takes courage. Talk to me about that.
I think everybody's afraid to be humiliated. I think it's not so much fear, it's the fear of...
What if someone laughs at you?
Yeah, feeling stupid, feeling foolish, being made fun of. And if you just go ahead and say, fine, I will look stupid, I will be made fun of, people aren't going to get me. If you just go ahead and take that as, that is true. That is going to happen. You will trip and fall down the stairs. I did that once. That was fun. Take it for given, then you can kind of move past it and say, this is not about whether I'm going to be humiliated or look great. I have to do this. I have to get up there. I have to speak my truth. I have to hope that it resonates with someone else. And if it does, that's a gift. And so, I feel compelled to share whatever I have. This is my one life, like Mary Oliver says. What are you going to do with it? So this is what I've chosen to do.
I feel the same way. I feel compelled to do this and share these gifts. I feel like if I'm not doing it, then I'm not doing my civic duty. It's like something inside me that is like, you better do this, Jerry, because if you don't do this, then it's like, why did you get these in the first place?
Yeah.
So, I totally understand 100% where you're coming from. Talk to me a little bit about the when you get on stage, and you recently played the Southern, right?
I did,
And
yeah.
you get on stage, and you're at the Southern, and you're rocking, and you know the show is clicking, and you're kicking ass, and people are responding so well to you. Like, what is that feeling like for you? Put that in perspective.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm there yet, if I'm being totally honest. I think I'm still figuring out how to, you know, feel myself out as I'm on stage. I've always been a singer, so that's always been comfortable for me, but as I'm moving more into performance, playing my own guitar, playing with a band, that's a completely different animal than singing with a pre-existing, you know, band. So I think the minute I'm able to look out and I can see, I played a song one time and there were people, I could see tears on people's faces, and I thought, awesome. I've done my job. Like, this is it. There's very rarely in life do you have space to have corporate grief. There's corporate conviviality, but there's not a lot of space to grieve together.
What do you mean by that?
Well, we have parties and we celebrate, and I mean, every commercial you see is about conviviality. We're all up.
Positivity all the time.
Perpetual upness.
Yeah, right.
And that's just not realistic. We're not perpetually up. In fact, most of the time, we're trying to get up because we were down, you know? And so I would like to, I mean, I'm an up person, but I like to create space for people to feel the very deep feelings that we feel. And that's not shameful. That is what makes us so profoundly human, is to have these deep feelings.
I love it. When did you start pulling on the deep feelings for your music? When did you start realizing that maybe I have to go beyond the cover space into originals and to really showcase what was in my heart and soul for people to start really connecting with what I'm doing here on stage?
Gosh, well, I met with a local musician, Mariana Bell, and she's great, and she was really kind to let me just sit there and like talk to her. And she really encouraged me not to play covers. She's like, I just wouldn't do it.
From the beginning?
Yeah.
Wow, good for you.
Before I had played out, you know, a couple of times in my 20s. We used to own a coffee shop actually called Para Coffee.
Sure, on Elliewood.
On Elliewood,
absolutely.
Yeah. And so I would play things. I played Patty Griffin, because, I forgot, I left her out earlier. I love Patty Griffin. She's like my soul sister. I don't know her, but in my soul, she's my sister. Anyway, so I would play her because I really just resonated deeply with her. But when I finally started turning pro, Stephen Pressfield has a great book called Turning Pro, and I really tried not to play any covers. I wanted to be known as a songwriter. I want to write songs. So in order to do that, I need to play my own content and work.
That's so baller, and I so see the like similarities and the commonalities between the musician and the entrepreneur. And what I would love, and this is a first in I Love CVille history, and I am like truly grateful that we get to do this with you guys. When these guys were doing their sound checks, I was like, man, these people are just good people. And I'm excited for you to see these good people in action here on the I Love CVille show. Before we do, let's thank the folks for joining us. Hart Composter says, thank you, Laura. You are absolutely telling the truth.
Oh, thank you.
All I ask of you guys is to like the stream and share the stream. Just give it a like and give it a share. We put 4 people of about 5 hours a day each goes into this show every day. And all I ask is for a like and share. Harris Tolber, can we do some live music? Mm-hmm. We could do some live music? Sure. Okay. Absolutely. All right. So, Harris, I'm going to get the mic going. You get everything going. You take a moment to set up. I'll get the mic going. I'm really good at filling time by talking. It's one of the gifts. Michael Clem, Lora Kelley, and Eric Heinsohn on the I Love CVille show doing an original. What's the name of the original?
Good Men Don't Hurt You.
Good Men Don't Hurt You. I'm turning my mic over. I don't do this for a lot of people.
Oh, thank you, Jerry. I appreciate it. Gotta get in tune. It's just kind.
Patty Griffin just wrote in there. She says, "You go, girl."
No, she did not. Michael Clem, that is not even funny. I would just fall over and die. Am I good?
I think that's good.
All right, y'all ready?
Let's go.
Well, it's 1:30 when Alice shows up. Her eyes are all red, her mascara undone. Said she caught her man cheating and she's not sure what to do. But She flops on the couch saying she should have known he was always coming home late, drunk and stoned. And when he lost his job, made her get too. She looks at me like she's a bit confused. He said he loves me still. I say that's a ruse, 'cause good men don't hurt you. They're not trying to take from you all that they can get and then leave you in the cold like some discarded pet. Call you over for a Netflix and chill and pray you take the morning after pill. Oh, I know you came to me for some sound advice. If you can do what you want, girl, it's your life. But good men don't hurt you. Good men don't hurt you. Her babe calls me up all unannounced, asking what he said to make his lady bounce. I said, good men don't hurt you. And he gets real quiet, not sure what to say. He said, I thought I was a good man. I said, good men don't act that way. Good men don't hurt you. They're not trying to take from you all that they can get and then leave you in the cold like some discarded pet. Call you over for a Netflix and chill and make you pay the Chinese takeout bill. Oh, I know you're not asking for this piece of advice, but I'm gonna give it to you, boy, 'cause it could change your life. Good men don't hurt you. Good men don't hurt you. And all my girls out there, hear what I say to you. You don't have to date a man who does what bad men do. No. Good men don't hurt you. Good men don't hurt you. Good men, good grown-ass men and women too. Good men don't hurt you. Good men don't hurt you. Good men don't hurt you.
So awesome, baby. That was so
nice.
awesome. I'm going to take the mic back and give you some props. Oh my gosh, so good. Let's have a conversation about this song right here. I've got to ask the inspiration. Harris Tolber and Judah Wickow are making us sound good. Literally the first live song we've ever done here.
Yeah.
Oh, yay.
Truly,
So glad to be an honor.
truly grateful.
Thanks,
Tell us the story behind the song.
Oh, good men don't hurt you. So it feels slightly self-explanatory.
Sure.
Insofar as I was having a conversation with one of my friends a long time ago. She was dating this guy, and he was kind of stringing her along, and I thought, like, good men just don't, do that. So maybe you just need to move on. And as I was thinking about that, I thought, oh, good men don't hurt you. That feels pretty obvious, but feels like really good advice. Like, if you've got a dude and he's just hurting you, maybe, you want to date a good man, I think. Move on. So the tune came to me while I was washing my hair, which is, I've got 2 kids, so washing my hair is a very peaceful place for me.
Serenity now.
Sometimes I lock the door and I'm like, I'm washing my hair. I'll see you guys in an hour. Anyways, so it kind of popped into my head, and so then I started thinking about my protagonist and her story, and yeah, that was...
That's great.
Yeah.
John Updike says, mighty fine, mighty fine, mighty fine. James Watson says, now you need to get a beer and wine license and have drinks available for Fridays from noon to 3. Not a bad idea, James
I love that
Watson.
idea.
Not a bad idea at all. Like and share the stream, guys. Like and share the stream. Sally Hudson, welcome to the program. Let me throw this to you here.
Okay.
Going from musician to songwriter. I mean, I've got to think. Songwriter is like a completely different challenge or hurdle to climb. I mean, writing songs, talk to me about that a little bit.
Well, I studied writing in college, so
Okay.
poetry, short fiction, very broody college poetry and short fiction, and as you're wont to be, and which is good. I think brooding is fine sometimes. But yeah, so I figured out at some point, I thought, oh, you put music and words together, that's a song. So I just started doing that, and yeah, I don't know. What was your question again?
No, dude, the challenge of coming up constantly with new songs. I have to constantly with this business reinvent things every quarter.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
Yeah.
And it like takes me from one side of the brain where I'm looking at balance sheets and P&Ls to the other side of the brain where I have to use this like creativity and be like, all right, what's the reinvention going to be to get these guys 7% raises every year? I mean, I've got to think that you have to go from both sides of the brains as well. And you're like, all right, how the heck am I going to do this now? Talk to me a little bit about that and put that in perspective.
Yeah, I think, someone said, and I don't remember, I can't quote them accurately, but 3 chords in the truth. That's a song that was quoted also in A Star is Born. But there is someone who actually quoted it. I'll have to look it up. Anyway, so I think I want to tell the truth. I want to tell truth that may be not have been told yet. So Sharon Olds, she's a poet, and she writes about sexual abuse, which was a subject matter that up until she started writing about it wasn't heavily covered. And it's been huge because people have been able to find their stories in her work. And so for me, I'm trying to figure out as I find my voice and as I find, how to explain my truth, what are things that resonate with, people that maybe isn't being explored. So I think Lori McKenna is a great example of this. She writes a lot about domesticity, and that's not a heavily covered subject for women. A lot of times, I think music plays on nostalgia or building nostalgia, and it's, very youth-driven, which is totally fine, but I'm in a life stage where I want music that relates to what I'm doing. Yeah.
Right. Authentic.
I want to hear about, she's got a great song called A Mother Never Rests, and I'm like, yeah, a mother never rests. She says she's a hummingbird in the living room. And I think that's beautiful, and I think there's an entire demographic of women who would love to hear music like that. So I'm trying to kind of figure out how do I put voice to my own personal experiences.
Good Men Don't Hurt You has the hook. It has the hook, baby. I mean, that is a winner. Fang Fam says, so fun to see you. The song absolutely rocked. I got to get Michael and Eric in the mix here. I mean, that song had the hook, Michael. Let's jump in here. You're a talented musician.
Well, you don't talk about hook and domestic abuse in the same sentence.
Oh, touche.
But,
why not?
He's making a joke.
Jerry got it.
I got it.
Yeah, but no, I've loved this song from the first time Laura played it, and I had a chance to play with her. I love the F minor in there. I think that's musically that's the hook to me. I was just telling her that after our practice the other day. Yeah, it's a great song and a great message, and I love Lorena McKenna as well. She's I mean, she was put on the map by Faith Hill, but she became this performer where like, wow, this gal has something to say.
Yeah.
I love it.
And did it late in life too. She had a whole life of as a domestic engineer and a mom, and then decided I'm gonna go out and play. So that's inspiration for us old folks.
And I love it. I love the song because you don't, and I'm gonna throw this to you, Eric, and you can go anywhere you want. But one of the reasons why I love the song is because I love that you are willing to be authentic and speak from where you're at right now in life. It's not this contrived song where you're like trying to fit, track sales or downloads. You're being legit. You are being who you are, and this is where I am right now, and I respect that. I appreciate someone having the courage to say, this is what I'm going to do, it's going to be real, and if it resonates with you, it does. If it doesn't, okay. And that takes guts.
Yeah.
Jump in here, Eric. What are you thinking about Good Men Don't Hurt You?
I think it's inspiring. It's inspiring for me as a man to hear it, right? And I like the fact that there's a message here that talks about some underlying there's some darker stuff, but the song is really light. I think in the best way. It's bringing it in an upbeat, light way, sort of like. So that's where the inspiration I think comes from. Like, hey, it's more of a, let's not dwell down in here in this dark stuff. The fact is, you got to move up, like you were saying before. So I think the words and the music really are a great fit.
Very solid. This guy's right here.
Would you
You've
ask
talked
him before me
before.
next time? I like the way he says stuff better than I do.
He's so polished. All right, can we get what the game plan to do here, guys, is we try to do maybe potentially, if they're kind enough to do this, 4 songs. And what I'd like to do is tell the story behind each song after you hear it. And we're trying to do this on Fridays for you because we want to give you a ray of sunshine as you head into the weekend after a long work week. That's the entire premise of the program. Positive vibes of the best of Charlottesville. And these folks embody the best of Charlottesville. May we please have one more?
Yes.
Maybe 3 more.
I've got 2 more.
Oh, you got 2 more.
I got
Okay,
2 more for you.
fantastic. All right, I do not do this often. I'm bringing the mic. Judah, jump in here where we need to go. And Michael, you're running conversation right now.
Yes, I am. I'm sitting out this one, so this is perfect. This is a bassless song. I mean, bassless as in the instrument, not B-A-S-E.
Basel's accusation.
That's right. It's exciting to be a part of the debut of the music portion of your show.
Thank you so much for having me.
What an honor.
Well, this is a little bit of a sadder song, but yeah, we can talk about it after it's done. She would wave goodbye with both hands, blow her kisses into the wind. Last time I saw her, that's how she said goodbye. Wild hair and dark eyes, how they shine. She would wave goodbye with both hands, blow her kisses into the wind. Peel peaches on the porch swing, and she loved her gardening. And to write us letters, tell us all these things. She would wave goodbye with both hands, blow her kisses into the wind, shake her sweet iced tea. This is the life, she'd say to me. Come sit here, come sit with me. It's strange how time takes your memories away. Like a rope in time will fray, till all that's left of you is what someone else has to say about what they remember, about the life you gave. So now I wave goodbye with both hands, blow my kisses into the wind. This is how I remember to tell you how she loved you then, and she loves you now.
Yeah.
That was so awesome. Oh my gosh, I love this idea.
I love that you love this idea.
The reason I said that is because I feel like I'm one of those people that feel so much. And I feel like I could totally feel like your energy and the fella's energy just radiating here on the set as if it's this proverbial blanket that's encompassing us right now. And I just feel it, and I just gravitate and live off these kind of vibes. And tell us about the song, tell us about the inspiration, tell us about the lyrics. Show's yours.
Yeah, thank you. So this song I wrote for my family after my grandmother passed away 3 years ago, this past February, and she suffered from dementia, like a lot of people in America do at this time, and it's really painful to watch someone you love just kind of, fade into the distance. And I was so intrigued by the fact that after she passed away, I was collecting stories from everyone, and we had all had very similar experiences with her, but really all that was left of her was what we could remember. So even her true essence, maybe how she would have seen herself, that doesn't remain. It's just how other people experienced you. And so as an offering to my family, I wrote this story, this song about her, So yeah, that was the
How
inspiration
about
for it.
the you family? Clearly, obviously, very, 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 very important to you.
Yeah.
Put that in perspective. I know your husband Eric Kelley. I think both at one time lived at the villas at Southern Ridge back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
He did, yeah, he did.
So I mean, quality guy, entrepreneur as well.
Yep.
One of the best photographers in the area.
I think so.
Launched Pata Coffee on Elliewood,
Yep.
migrated that brand into Grit. I think he has since exited that partnership, but regardless has business and entrepreneurship in his blood, which I admire.
Yeah.
Talk to me about family. Talk to me about Eric and how that's an influence in your music.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, he is fearless, and that's one of my favorite qualities about him. He was a diver at UVA, platformed. I feel like I always have to explain that because some people are like, you can snorkel in college, and I'm like, no, it's like off of a diving board. So anyway, so he's fearless, and he has given me that gift to just be like, you want to do it? Go. You got this. And so that's his personality. And we have 2 kids, and we have a great time together for the most part, you know.
That's
We've been married.
amazing. When he was at UVA, he was the focused one that was razor sharp. And then there was me who was at the absolute other end of the spectrum that was just living life one keg party at a time. But you know
my
what?
gosh.
That's
all right.
that's great. And you know what? To each their own. Barb Simmons Kelley says, my absolute favorite. And Laura's rendition and video of Both Hands is absolutely amazing.
Oh, thanks, Barb.
Guys, if you can like and share the stream, that would mean the absolute world to us. Talk to us, gentlemen. And why don't we start with you, Eric? Talk to us about that song right there. You were just a part of. Strumming the guitar, mighty, mighty nice there.
Thank you. It's definitely a sweet song. It's evocative, I think, of the picture that Laura's trying to create there. You get a real sense of this beloved woman. You get the picture of her, and I think that's when a song is really strong, is when you have imagery that draws you in and lets you see, at least in your imagination. But the words are how you lead people into that, and I think the music underneath it, very sweet. Obviously there's a sense of a sweetness and a love that you have for this beloved person. So I just think the song, it's a wonderful homage to your grandmother. So well done.
I love it. This is a tough question for you.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we don't want to talk about ourselves. But I
Okay.
think oftentimes when we're figuring out, our path to success, we have to analyze what we do really, really well and what we don't do so well, and spend more time doing the things we do well, and potentially a little bit, more time trying to improve the things we don't. What are the things you think you do well as a musician and songwriter? And then the second part of the question is, where do you think you need to improve as a musician and songwriter?
That's a good question. I think I feel comfortable singing. Like, I feel like I have a good voice. So that is something I feel like I bring to the table for myself. And I think I have a way with words that I'm learning more of. But I think in terms of development, I want to be a proficient musician. I was reading this great book. It's called So Good They Can't Ignore You. And that's a quote from Steve Martin from his memoir. And when he was doing stand-up comedy, he was trying to figure out how to get noticed. And so he just made a couple of tweaks, and it said it took him 10 years to cohere, but his mantra was, be so good they can't ignore you. And the mentality that created for this author who wrote this book was that craftsmanship is actually what offers us passion in our life. And that actually the better we become at what we feel called to do, the more we'll love what we're doing. And so one of the things I'm working on right now is just become better, like to learn how to play the guitar better, how to sing my way around understanding theory and those kinds of things, writing, that kind of stuff. So.
For me, it's falling in love with the process.
Yeah.
Falling in love with the steps it takes to be the pinnacle of the profession. And a lot of times those steps are the steps that are the unheard or the unseen, the steps maybe you're doing on a one-on-one basis or one-on-one with your wife or your husband. And that particular, your better half may understand what you're grinding and what you're doing, and you're clocking 80 hours a week and you're waking up at 4:45 in the morning, because from 4:45 in the morning to 7 a.m. you can clear the inbox, and at 7 a.m. you can wake up your son and give him that first bottle, and give your wife a break.
Yeah.
And I totally get what you're saying about falling in love with the process, because I think it's there that we find our character and our grit and our je ne sais quoi and what we're made out of. And when it's time for that to shine on a stage like this, or on a stage like the Southern, or on a stage like Nashville or New York City or Atlanta, whatever's in your future, that process is something that you can pull on and say, you know what? I've spent hundreds, if not thousands of hours doing this. I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
I'm ready to make this show the best one ever.
10,000 hours, isn't that, what is it, the tipping point?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Malcolm Gladwell. And I think that's so true. And to be okay with where you are. I think my biggest mantra for this month is, I was thinking a lot about self-doubt, because I think we're all get riddled with self-doubt. Imposter syndrome, that's a real thing. And I struggle with that. And so my challenge for myself this month was to doubt my self-doubt. That if I was going to doubt one thing about myself, I would look at my self-doubt and, give it the middle finger and say, I doubt you versus myself. So.
I love it. So what are other ways you manage self-doubt?
I try to ignore it and just keep going, and it doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes I have weeks where I feel really good about myself, and so I will write down reminders to myself, hey, this week you felt really good. These are all the things. I try to be conscious and aware of what creates self-doubt, what creates self-confidence for me, and try to, be around.
I embrace self-doubt, and I just take it in. I'm like, I love this feeling that I'm feeling right now, and I'm going to use this feeling as like a motivating factor to be like a better version of myself. And I take it in, and I'm like, this self-doubt does not, it used to make me afraid, or I used to compartmentalize it and bottle it up and ignore it and pound it down into my body. Mm-hmm. Now I just make it front and center, because I feel like that self-doubt is like who we are as humans. And if we can showcase to everyone, yes, I am a confident person, but yes, I struggle with things from time to time, then maybe someone can pull from that, and maybe we're leaving the spot in a better place. And really all I want, and gentlemen, you get in here, and we'll throw this to Michael Clem, because Michael Clem, you are a deep guy. All right, Eric, we'll throw it here. One of my main goals, and then I want to get maybe your last song that we can play. We're 50 minutes in. This has been an amazing show, and it's because of you guys. My main goal is to have my son be a better version of me. That's all I want. As I want him to grow up into a better version of us.
How old is he now?
He is almost a year old.
He might be there.
Okay.
You never know.
We got some time.
You got some time.
It's been the most arduous year, the best, most difficult year ever, is how I describe it. Jump in here. What's on your brain, Eric?
What's on my brain? There's some threads here that I think are really interesting. The one that relates to songwriting too, I think, is fear. The self-doubt thing, the fear. I just think songwriting can be very painful, and part of that is that you have to put yourself out there, and you have to be unafraid of that, and you have to turn off that guy inside, the editor, the internal editor, is saying that stinks, that's no good, that's that's not going to happen. But I think the process that you're talking about is really interesting with songwriting, because you have to be willing to go ahead and enter into that. And then I think what I learned is that writing is as much rewriting, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like you need to just go ahead and let it go. Let the stuff, and this stuff that you think is nonsense, you come back to and go, now I understand where that came from or why it's there. And I think that's part of it too. It's just you just need to be willing to put it out there, and then be willing to work through the craft of it, so you get to where it really ultimately belongs. I've always thought, you used to think of songs that just came out of the sky and then they were there. It's like, I wish.
Yeah.
I have so much respect for the vulnerability that you guys showcase on a routine basis, because that vulnerability is so difficult to display and to wear and to put on your sleeve and to put on your front and center. And I feel like the artists that are most successful, many qualities or many reasons why they're successful, but it's true vulnerability that we see. And the folks that are watching the artist perform see that vulnerability and are drawn to it or magnetized to it in some ways, whether it's they can relate it to themselves, or they can say this person in front of 10,000 or 500 or 10 people is showcasing vulnerability. if they can do that, then I can do something myself.
Well, you have a real Barbara Walters way of extracting this from us as well.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, talk to me. What's on your mind here? And then we're going to do another song here.
Barbara Walters is on the line. You know, I love what you said about your son. I'm a few years older than you, and I have a 25-year-old. He's going to be 25 this summer. And believe it or not, I don't know if that was ever my wish. I mean, I always wanted the best for him, but I think that happened. I mean, I just say that in an admission kind of way, as far as being a better version of me. I don't even know if it's a version of me in so much that he's my son, but I'm just bragging on him. He's just a good kid. He didn't get any of my vices, and he'll catch when we're together. If I'm driving along and I have a Tourette's moment and let an F-bomb go in the car, he'll say, you know, why are you using bad words, Dad? And just, he's on the autistic spectrum, so he doesn't have this, it's just not a bad bone in his body. And it happened, and I'm sure it's going to happen for your 1-year-old too if what you're doing here is any indication. So as a pop, I'm giving you hope there.
Thank you
Yes.
for saying that. That means a lot, and I appreciate that answer quite a bit there.
Yeah.
I really, really do. How about one more question for Lora, and then maybe we hear the last song. Motherhood. Talk to us about motherhood and how it's inspired you, motherhood, and like the good times and the bad times and like the tough times and the easy times, motherhood in general.
Oh, yeah. I think, you know, it took me a long time to admit that I've always wanted to be a mother. You know, I wanted to have kids. I think they're so fun and fantastic, but it's challenging. I mean, it really brings out, it holds front and center all the things that you're not doing well. But it can also show you the things that you do well. But if your kids have a bad habit, chances are, you know, you probably do the same thing that they're, you know, reflecting back to you. So it's been a huge growth, I think, for me and for both Eric to understand ourselves more fully, to understand what triggers us, what makes us, you know, angry or responsive. And there's a great book by Dan Allender called How Children Raise Parents. And I think to some degree that is what happens in motherhood. It's made me more compassionate, I think, to the people around. There's a great song out, Tenille Towns, I think that I said her name right. She wrote this great song called Somebody's Daughter. And it's her perspective of this woman standing on the side of the road, and she's begging for food or whatever, and she's like, this is somebody's daughter, you know? And so I think going through, as a mother, when I became a mother, I remember walking down the downtown mall and looking at all of these people and thinking, this is somebody's child. And so, yeah, I mean, for me, that's been a huge shift perspective.
I love it. I love it. And I got some comments that I want to get to. John Updike loves you, by the way. He says, Barbara Walters, good one, Clem. He says the Lora Kelley trio has set a mighty high bar for Music Fridays with Jerry Miller. This is truly amazing. You guys sound fantastic. Thank you, John Updike. Like and share the stream. That's all I ask, guys. Like and share the stream if you could do that for us. Someone said this to me. I play a lot of racquetball, and this was a 70-year-old guy. He's a professor at UVA that plays with the fellas back there at ACAC. And he said, and I said to him, he goes, how's you know, your son? How's raising your son? And I go, I can't wait to raise this guy. And you know what? He goes, Jerry, you know what? Your son was put on earth not for you to raise him, but for him to teach you how to be a better man, which is like kind of piggybacking what you were saying right there. We are 55 minutes in, maybe one more?
Yeah.
One more? Okay, fantastic.
Oh, I wanted to say something.
Sure.
This is a rock bridge guitar.
Okay.
And this is locally made, just right down the street. Brian Calhoun makes these custom in Charlottesville. They are amazing, and he was kind enough to let me borrow it for this. And I'm going up to record next week, so I'm going to use that on a single that I'm doing.
I love it. Brian Calhoun, also the Chick-a-Pig guy, also has a children's book coming out.
Yes, he does.
So
we have the Chick-a-Pig. So.
And entrepreneur as well. Judah, if you can join us here on set, and we'll get the mic position. Get them there. And then tell us what we're hearing, the name of the song.
Okay, this song is called Creeping In. It's the latest single I just released. And yeah, that's what it's called. It's always the G string. All right. Flip my hair. You're the king of charades, a one-man masquerade. Can't read your lips in this crowded room. Something about says your mind is on the move. One step forward, I should have known better. 2 steps back, but you were too clever. Now I'm a lamb being led to the slaughter. A frog so boiling in water. When I move as if my shadow that follows. Or are you creeping in? You're just a creeping in. You're just a creeping in. Until I can't tell whether you meant to be weird when you asked me in. You know I'm with him, but you're a creeping in. I've got a new strategy, don't shine your gaslight on me. This ain't a game that I'm gonna lose. Something about the way you look at me says no, it's something you can't refuse. No one step forward, I could have done better. 2 steps back, but you were made to measure. Now I'm a lamb being led to the slaughter. A frog so boiling in water. When I move as if my shadow that follows. Are you creeping in? You're just a creeping in. You're just a creeping in. Until I can't tell whether you meant to be weird when you asked me in. You know I'm with him, but you're a creeping in. Be careful what you wish for, you might just get it, son. A resurrection's coming for your closet of skeletons. Ooh. Now you're a bird in the scope of a rifle, a deer caught in headlights at night. Oh, don't say I'm making things up in my head. I know you're just a creeping in. You're just a creeping in. You're just a creeping in. Until I can't tell whether you meant to be weird when you asked me in. You know I'm with him, but you're a creeping in. You're just a creeping in.
Oh, that was so
Thank
good.
you.
That was so good.
Oh, you're so great,
Such
Jerry.
a baller. That was so good. Oh my gosh, Lora Kelley, you guys crushed that. And I love the background you were applying right there. Was that some Michael Clem vocals too? Michael Clem, kicking some
He's my
tail
backup
over there. Oh
He's
my
amazing.
gosh, I have goosebumps on my body. I am not even BSing you right now. That was
so
so
glad.
good. Talk to us about that song, the inspiration. The show is yours. Go anywhere you want with that one.
You're so nice. That song, I was in the middle of this situation. So I do sexual abuse and trauma, a group care. And the Me Too movement was happening, and I found myself in this really bizarre situation where all of a sudden I was like dealing with this person, and I was like, I'm getting kind of weird vibes. And then it got really weird, and I thought, how did this happen to me? Like, I know what it looks like to be sexually harassed. I like work with people who have dealt with this. And I was talking to these guy friends that I was with, and he's like, you just need to write a song about it, which you get told a lot as a songwriter. You just need to write a song about it. But I thought, yeah, I could do that. So I think I was like in the shower shaving my legs, and I'm like, creep. So I just started writing the lyrics to it, and then I took it to the piano, and then I took it to the guitar. So that was kind of the impetus for this song.
How is songwriting and playing music therapeutic from your standpoint?
Well, I got to tell my truth. And I got to say exactly, like I got to visualize, what does it feel like to be standing in a situation where you're just not quite sure what's going on? And hopefully that resonates with other people. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. I speak my truth. I hope it, it meets with someone else.
I think that song absolutely did. That one, I mean, all three of them were so good.
No,
Let's throw it to you, Eric. Therapeutic. How is doing what you're doing, playing the guitar so well, therapeutic for you?
Thank you, Jerry. When I first started playing guitar, it was because I was so moved by music, and I just feel like as it's a way of expressing yourself. I mean, I've doing guitar in a lot of different contexts. I think of it as a voice, and I think of as something that's expressing something. It can't speak words, but it can really convey emotion. And for me personally, there's a certain sense where, because I've played for so long and it goes so deep in the heart of me, that in some ways I'm just more the person I'm supposed to be, the way I was created to be when I'm playing guitar. That way, as much as any other thing I'm doing or any other way I'm doing. So it's just for me, it's that way of expressing what we're talking about. But the guitar for me is just something about it. When I hear guitarists, and I feel it in my heart. I just feel the emotion of it, and that's to me is real. That's real creativity. That's real art. That's just real beauty.
I love it. I'm going to throw it to Michael Clem here. A lot of folks say that math is the world's language. I think music, in a lot of ways, is the world's language as well.
Because I'm horrible at math.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
You and me both. How is music and playing music for you therapeutic?
Oh, I don't know really any other way. I've been at it for so long, since the 5th grade, and it's always been a great outlet. And as I got to my adulthood and realized, wow, I can make my passion my living, and it's been that way since '91. I think I'm the luckiest guy I know, when you can actually make it doesn't happen all the time.
Your passion, your profession.
You make your passion your profession, and it doesn't feel like work most of the time. There are some arduous times, but it's going to be that way with everything. It's highly rewarding. I managed to get by. I'm not ready to retire tomorrow. I still need to do it, but what a nice way to be able to do it.
I love it. I love that answer. Guys, we are 65 minutes in. Undoubtedly one of the best programs we ever done. A testament to you. I want to get some knowledge out there of where we can see you play, where we can get the songs that you just sang so perfectly for us. How can we further connect with you and your platform?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so you can find my music on iTunes, which is great, or you can listen to it on Spotify. And I'm in the process of writing for an EP, and I'm going up to record a new single on Monday up in New York.
That's awesome.
So I'm excited about that. I don't have any shows on the docket. I'm just kind of working on writing right now, because I want to, get my next sort of record out there. So, but find me on Instagram. I love to connect with people. I love to talk to people and hear about what you're doing as humans in the world trying to make our way. I think it's just so powerful when we can connect to each other. So yeah.
I got to give you some props as someone who does a lot of social media for clients. You do a really good job of authenticity and transparency. I saw a video I think you did from your couch on IG where you were telling the story of one of your songs and the influence and inspiration behind it, and you brought us into your living room, into real life, with a one-camera setup right in front of you. And I was watching this, and I'm like, this is amazing. This is what more musicians need to do, because I think it's another level, it's another layer of the onion of connectivity with the audience and the musician.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I was just that was the first time I'd done IGTV, so
it was amazing. Do more of that.
I had my djembe and my little pop socket, and I just kind of hooked it on there. I thought, well, this is a good angle. Maybe we'll see how it goes. So
you did great.
That's the truth.
You did great. Let's get the fellas in here. Where can we see you guys? I know Michael Clem. We'll start with you. You're around town.
You're halfway there. MichaelClem.com is my website. I put everything I do musically on there, and play a lot of wineries in the area, and with all different types of people, wineries and clubs and venues. Playing with my buddy Rusty Spidell this Sunday at Cunningham Creek over in Palmyra. But probably my most special connection to town is what I do on Monday nights, and Laura's been involved with that too. It's a CVille Songwriter Night, and it's an open mic night for songwriters, so it has to be original music. And I'm part of a 3-piece band that backs people up, usually on the fly with cheat sheet of chords, or sometimes not, just sort of looking at the guitar neck and figuring out what they're playing.
Where is that?
Ear. That's at the local in Belmont. Every Monday night from 9 to 11, all types of musicians, amateur, professional, and skill levels, and nobody sucks. Everyone gets a gold star for being part. And it's just really become a very special night. It's filled full as an egg every week with sign-ups, and I even have to turn people away. I mean, it's a nice problem to have.
Sure.
And it's become a really beautiful thing here in CVille to get a lot of strangers together who come as strangers and leave as friends. It's great. We just got to get Eric involved.
Yeah.
So when I'm seeing Jehu Martin doing the live stream
There
from
you
the
go.
local,
That's
that's that right there, right? I mean, he is all over
Jehu
it.
TV. It's a competitor of I Love CVille.
It
Maybe
is.
you guys should join forces.
He does a great job.
Oh,
He's
he
such
is.
a local ambassador.
He's been a great. He and another fellow, Ray Maternick, who come out and they archive all the videos. It's really become a community thing. And Jehu, he's not profit driven. He just loves his town.
He's an ambassador.
He's an ambassador. He's like you. He's a do-gooder.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. How about you, Eric?
Well, I'm kind of flying under the radar, as it were.
Well, you shouldn't be. You're so talented.
Thank you. I'm going to take you up on the open mic thing. I've gained a few gray hairs over the years. I did play music on the road full time at one point, and I still occasionally do studio work. Go out to LA and do some movie stuff, which is really exciting for me. But I'm a songwriter also, and I do have a I do have a band. It's called the Eric Heinsohn Band.
Cool.
You might remember that. It's just me and two guys who are wonderful musicians, and we work on our own songs, and it's half sort of, maybe 2/3 acoustic and half electric. So we don't get out much, but we'll try to get out there at some point. And this has been a great moment for me. I love playing with Laura. I love joining up with people and just playing when I get the chance. So it's been an honor for me to be here.
Well, the
Thank
true
you.
honor was ours for having you guys here. You guys made a lot of people's days better, especially on a rainy day in Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm truly grateful for your time. Michael Guthrie made this connection and he suggested Lora Kelley coming on the show, and Michael Guthrie, you were 100% on
Thank you,
point.
Michael.
Yes, thank you kindly, Michael. We close the program the same way every day. 2 mantras here for us at I Love CVille, ladies and gentlemen. If you could give more than you take, you will make Charlottesville and Central Virginia a better place, and in the end, you will probably end up winning anyway. So give more than you take, please. And then the second one is what we absolutely embody, is the golden rule. Live your life by the golden rule. And that may be as little as like opening the door for somebody, or when you're walking down the street smiling to them and saying good morning, or picking up a piece of trash, or just being nice. Let someone go ahead at the red light, maybe ahead of you. It's not a race. Live life by the golden rule, and we can make Charlottesville a little bit better. And I think that's what Charlottesville needs right now. I want to thank Harris Tolber, Judah Wickhauer, and Lauren Linsky for making this show possible. I truly enjoy connecting with you guys here. We're going to be back here in the saddle on Monday at 12:30 with the best of Charlottesville, Virginia, guys. I hope you enjoy your weekend and your afternoon, and thank you to these fine people for joining us here on the show. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
So good, dude. So
Thank you.
Seriously.
Yeah,
It was so good. This is what you guys can expect from us. Great.
Let me turn this off.
Sure. Yeah. And so it's because of the no drop ceilings. Yeah, it gets cold. And the electric in here is astronomical with the no drop ceilings.
Yeah, I
and
guess
those windows.
so.
Yeah. But it is chilly in here. Yeah. You were so good, guys.
Yeah, you can edit me out. I like to just piggyback on
come
his.
on.